Hello and welcome back to another Respect and to another edition of Raw Out of 10. It's a big episode of Raw today because we've got all of the fallout from SummerSlam with Roman Reigns retaining, over Femi conquering Brock Lesnar. So yeah, a lot going on this week's show. And we started things off with Roman Reigns, who may have defeated Seth Rollins in the main event at SummerSlam, but it was also a prospective number one contender in the form of LA Knight, who interrupted his victory address to the WWE Universe. The combatants and familiar foes hurled insults at each other before Knight reminded Reigns that he had earned the title opportunity, so much so that the OTC had to rely on his bloodline minions to beat the Megastar the last time they fought. He threatened to smack Reigns back to factory settings if they clashed again, leaving the world champ seething to close out an electric segment that finally reintroduced Knight into the main event scene that he should have been in all along, really. Before we moved on to the first match of the night, an all-ego Ethan Page dominated most of the match against Javon Evans, but was unable to put him away. Late in the match, with frustration mounting, he attempted to remove the top turnbuckle. The official caught him and argued the heel, allowing Evans to leapfrog both men and deliver the OG cutters to Page for the win. It was a quality match and injected the show with some strong in-ring content. It was not about so much the main headlines though. Instead, it was what went down afterwards, with Big Cass making his return to WWE, leaving Jay at Javon lying. It was a physical result that sent a message to the rest of the roster and got a decent amount of jeers by the time it concluded. Cass still has the tools to be a big time player in WWE, and it's a solid beatdown on the blood babyface. So yeah, I'll give it a 6. As we then moved on to Skull beaming following her victory over Io Sky at SummerSlam. Liv Morgan coming out to cut a promo, pregarious about and also putting over her Judgment Day teammates. Sol Rooker interrupted and ahead of a match with the latter. A quick promo set up that led to the idea that no one was left to challenge Morgan, despite Rooker having unfinished business. Perhaps that's the direction things are heading when they battle after dropping the title. So yeah, we'll have to see where that goes. We then got another match between Sol Rooker and Roxanne Perez. Rooker found herself the beatdown of a 3-1 beatdown from the Judgment Day, followed a competitive match between the two, in which Rooker overcame a focused attack on her way to victory, where the heels intervened during a DQ. Becky Lynch returns, shutting down the attack and staking her claim to a match with Liv Morgan for the world title. She called her the worst champion of all time and said she would not let Morgan get another 100 days without defending the title. As Morgan and Judgment Day attempted to leave, Vaquer's music played and Le Primera made a long-awaited return, taking out months of frustration on the champion. And with that, the women's division got more interested, with big performers wanting and attempts to tease down will excite fans. So yeah, I'm kind of intrigued to see where it goes, with a bit of long-term storytelling there too. 8 out of 10 from me. As we then moved on to a Brock Lesnar tribute video, Over Femi approached Paul Heyman backstage and asked the Advocate to show his gratitude with the Beast next time he sees him. From there, he took to the ring to address his opponent this weekend and put the locker room on notice, saying anyone who wants to try him will answer to him. As he exited the arena, Bron Breakker's music played. The badass stepped through the curtain and came face to face with Femi, teasing yet another high-profile feud between some young stars. It's a solid but unspectacular promo, but the stare down was most tasteful, and yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what those two do next. Before we move on to Hendry versus Bron Breakker, distracted by a sudden desire to combat Femi or not, Breakker wasted little time dispatching Hendry, not even a blind charge into the ring steps could say the badass. After Hendry Theory over the table, Breakker eviscerated him with a spearful, and after match Theory attacked Hendry, only for the Alpha Academy's Tozawa to hit the ring, attack the tag champ and send him a maximum praise going into the back. There's certainly a segment, one that Breakker should be above from and go into that feud with Femi. 5 from me. As we then moved on to Chad Gable and Penta versus the Judgment Day, along with it should have been promo set up the new Intercontinental Champion Gable and Penta defeating the Judgment Day. Gable fought from underneath in this match, overcoming a lengthy heat spot from the Judgment Day to make the tag to Penta. The action broke down from there, with the Luchador delivering a Mexican destroyer to McDonough on the floor. Back inside, Mysterio attempted to load his boot and cheat when Gable caught him, preventing it, and Penta capitalised on the distracted referee, fought fire with fire by blasting Dirty Dom with the IC title, and Gable scored the win with Chaos Theory. A longer match that ate up considerable time and featured 3 of the best wrestlers in the world and one of the best heels in the business. The ring work was strong, the crowd was into it, and the right team went over. One cannot ask for more than that. So yeah, 7 out of 10. Royce Keys and Jacob Fati then settled their differences on the main event, a street fight that saw their brawl spread out the ring to the floor through the timehaver's position and back again. The competitor flooded the ring with a pile of steel chairs, each looking to inflict punishment on the other. The Samoan Werewolf unloaded on Keys with a kendo stick, then set up 2 of the steel chairs facing each other. The babyface countered his opponent, driving Fati spine first through the 2 chairs and netting a 2 count. Fati delivered an implant DDT on the chairs as neither men could keep the other down. Key recovered and power slammed his former friend through the chairs as physicality escalated. Fatu eventually delivered a top rope moonsault and then applied the Tongan Death Grip for the win. Roman appeared and acknowledged Fatu. When he returned backstage, Rey Mysterio confronted him with a business proposal for AAA, walking off camera to close the show. A hard-hitting battle. It featured some great physicality from both men and went on for longer. It would have been nice if it had not come at the expense of keys, but if nothing else, it paid off the story. The fact that there was an assault on Fatu's former friends, just any connection he had to the reality outside the bloodline is gone, that making him dangerous. As for the AAA development, it'll be interesting to see what Mysterio has to offer Reigns and whether it includes a spot for the OTC at Triple Mania. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. 6 out of 10. Overall, Raw this week gets 7 out of 10. A really strong show from start to finish. Great ring, interesting storyline, the introduction of new rivalries, and a main event that really showcased Fatu. So yeah, a very good post SummerSlam episode and some intriguing new directions kind of put in place. That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.